Hello and welcome back to another Router Guides video. My name's Humphrey. Today is Monday, March 4th. Here in Bangkok, we're going to give you a review of day 2 of Chula's intensive Thai course, class number 5. So I have 28 more days to go. We're going to talk about how it is getting to class, to and from class. We'll talk about a little more about the handbook because there's a lot of good stuff in this handbook. We'll talk about what happened today, how the class is being conducted, and we will wrap it up with class demographics. Who's in the class, what type of students, etc. Getting to and from class. Now, it's March, weather is getting more hot, and my class starts at 1 p.m., which means that generally I'm starting to go towards campus, towards my class, around noontime. Now, the unfortunate thing about that is noontime, the sun is right overhead, so there's not a lot of shade. You're going to be spending a lot of time in the sun, and I do arrive to class pretty much drenched in sweat, and it's March. Next month, April and May are the hottest months of the year. It's only going to get worse. Classes are on the 6th floor of the Faculty of the Arts building, and there are 2 elevators for that building. You may be thinking, okay, that's cool. Here's the problem though. The 2 elevators don't work on the same floors. One elevator is for the even floors, the other elevator is for the odd floors. Yes, you can take the odd floor one, like to floor 5 or 7, and then go either up and down one floor. But what I do, and I need the exercise anyways, is I always take the stairs up and down, which is great health-wise, but the thing is, in the rest of the world, other than the United States, the floor starts actually with the ground floor, G. And so when you go up one flight of stairs, you are now on floor 1. So 6 floors actually means 7 flights of stairs, 7 floors worth of stairs. But hey, it's extra exercise for me. Okay, let's talk about the handbook. I spent the weekend, well, not the whole weekend, but I spent a couple hours reading through the handbook. It is all in Thai, including the page numbers. And we'll talk about 3 to 4 things about it. The schedule is very well put together. I think in the last video, in my first impressions video, I said the stuff that was highlighted in orange was my quizzes. That was half correct. We have our quizzes and midterm tests and our final tests. That is in orange. But the day before is kind of like a review day. And so there's a little bit of speaking, there's the instructor clearing things up. But yeah, that's going to be a full, it says it's a full day, right the day before the actual exam. If you complete every 3rd level, so 1 through 3, class 4 through 6, class 7 through 9. After you complete that last class of those 3 levels, of that particular 3rd, then you can get a certificate that is endorsed by the administration. And there is a silver certificate, a gold certificate, and I believe the last one is a platinum certificate. Silver, gold, and platinum. The color denotes the level, so class 3, class 6, and class 9. Now there are requirements, like there's a minimum attendance and a minimum score on all the tests and the homework. I believe it's 60% on the score. That is how you get your certificate. So in Europe, there is something called the Common European, I'm reading the handbook here, Framework for Reference of Language Learners. And they have all these grades of A, B, C, 1, and 2. And in the handbook, it explains what levels of Chula classes are equivalent to what levels of the European standard. And yeah, it's pretty interesting to me. I never knew this type of stuff, but what they say is if you complete Thai levels class 1, 2, and 3, Thai 1 through 3, is approximately equal to A1, so the European framework A1. If you complete Thai class number 4 at Chula, that is approximately equal to A2. And then Thai 5, so I'm in Thai 5, is equal to European framework B1. And B2 is equal to Thai classes 6 through 7. And finally, let's go over here. Thai class 8 and 9 is equal to C1, which I guess is called proficient user. Okay, let's talk about what happened in class today. So like always, class is 3 hours. One interesting observation is in both today's class and Friday's class, all the students are coming on time. There's no student coming in late, either on the breaks or coming in like right at 1 p.m. No student is coming in late. Unlike Duke, where people kind of trickle in and out, and also on the breaks, people trickle in late. No, none of that at Chula. Everyone is on time, which I guess makes sense because if you're personally paying for a class, 29,500 baht for a class, you're gonna be there on time because you're paying that much money. Today we had a little bit more speaking. We had writing the last hour of class. We had approximately 30 minutes of writing. What we had to do is write out a bunch of rules for whatever subject. So what I picked is, if you're going to make a YouTube video, what things are you allowed to do? What things are you not allowed to do? So today we learned the different variations and the different levels of you're prohibited from doing this. So something like ham. Ham means you're prohibited, and it comes with a punishment, a legal fine. It's basically the government saying, no, you can't do this. And then one level down, yeah, don't do this. So it's basically maybe the building telling you, but there's no particular fine coming to it. And then there's ngot, and there's all these different interesting levels of being prohibited from doing something. And along with that, you could add softeners. So in Thai, you almost never go direct in terms of speech. It's funny because it's varying levels of indirectness. It's very indirect to not as indirect, but as long as you're not direct in speech. Interesting stuff. And the hour before that, we were going through a couple announcements. So we're still going through ads and condo announcements. And another thing I like about Chula is, because they have the big screen, is that the big screen allows them to show ads and YouTube things and thumbnails and articles from the internet, news articles and stuff like that. Very crisp, very clear. And it allows us to, you're seeing real life stuff, like real, like current advertisements as you would see on the BTS or MRT. Now Duke did some of that, but Chula does it to 4x degree, which I think is pretty nice. And yeah, same thing as before, same thing as on Friday. Probably today, 90% lecture. So still predominantly the instructor, the teacher is lecturing, and then once in a while they'll go around, they ask stuff, and they're not expecting long answers from you. They're not expecting us to read long paragraphs. Another thing that's interesting, another observation, is that the teacher is the hub for all communications. And what I mean by that is spontaneous speaking. So at Duke, when I'm replying, when I'm talking, generally I am replying to the teacher, but I'm also talking to the other students. And students will spontaneously ask questions and start conversations between each other during class. And in that type of situation, you don't know what's coming. You don't and it's interesting because if you're not used to it, it can be a little scary, right? Because I don't know, am I going to get picked? I don't know. What facilitates that is the classroom arrangement, the chairs, this U-shaped situation makes that easy, facilitates that. Whereas at Chula, because you have a traditional classroom chair arrangement where it's rows of people, right? Rows of people. When you're asked a question and you respond, you're responding to the teacher. Several times today when I respond to the teacher, then the teacher rebroadcasts out. So the teacher is like a hub in networking terms. He's the hub. and he will say, well, Humphrey responded with this. What's interesting is I thought maybe he was doing that because maybe I'm pronouncing things wrong, maybe I'm saying things wrong, you know, something like that, and he's correcting me and then rebroadcasting it out. But that wasn't the case, because I asked him later, and he's like, your Thai is extremely clear. Like, you speak Thai very, very clearly. And I was like, well, I went to Duke. And he was like, oh, okay, that's why. So I think the instructors at Chula know about Duke and know that the teaching methods are different. So him rebroadcasting out, that's just normal. That's just normally how it is. And he did it with other students as well. So it's interesting that everything goes through the teacher. Okay, homework. So from day one, I had a decent amount of homework. I would say in the neighborhood of 1.5 hours. My self-study of the vocabulary wasn't too bad, because I figured a way to automatically make my flashcards, and most of that vocabulary I lucked out because I had seen a lot of that vocabulary before at Duke. Let's talk about Google Classroom. The Google Classroom is freaking awesome. I love how they use Google Classroom. All of our assignments are on Google Classroom. All the PDFs are on Google Classroom. We get a PDF of the book. So our textbook, yes, I have a physical textbook, which is great. I still bring it to class. But in addition to the physical book, we get a PDF. And yeah, it's great. Also, another thing that's interesting is every page that we get, whether it be in the book, whether it be in the handbook, whether it be a sheet of paper that's handed to us, has a Chula watermark. So I joked with one of my other classmates is, maybe we're paying a lot of money because every page is watermarked and it costs them a lot more money to do it. I don't know if he found that funny, but I'm sticking by that. You're paying for the watermark with these classes. All the audio files are on Google Classroom, and the classroom notes. So today, you know, all the presentations, so the presentation for the class is done on PowerPoint. When they begin the class, they put in a USB dongle. It is a one-time use USB, not a one-time use, but basically it doesn't store anything. It's like one of those secure things that wipes the memory and all that stuff. So they plug in a USB dongle that pops up with Windows, and then they go to a website and they pull down the PowerPoint for the class. That PowerPoint is then uploaded to Google Classroom at the end of the session, and they're on time. So after class, I looked on Google Classroom, PowerPoint was there. Cool, right? I've got my class notes. Okay, let's end with the student demographic. So we've got 10 students in the class, plenty of space. And I was actually surprised that we only have 10 people. I was expecting 14, 15. I was expecting a packed house. But when you think about it, it kind of makes sense. When a student is paying, or their company is paying 29,500 baht per student, that means that they don't need to run as many students to make money, to break even. Their break-even point is really, well, the instructors probably paid a lot more, but even so, their break-even point is probably lower. Also, I'm going to just make the assumption that since it is a school, their expectations of profit is probably different than a private institution. Now, demographics is, even though my face is Chinese, I'm pretty much American, grew up in America, so I am the only non-Asian in the class. So it is predominantly Chinese and Hong Kong, so from China or Hong Kong, and then 3 students, I believe, are Japanese. That was day 2. Day 2, I've got 28 more days to go. And if you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. We'll answer it in the following days' videos. But we'll try to keep the schedule of giving you an update every day as long as it remains interesting and people are watching these. So stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.